everybody. My name is Fran, and I am one of the co-hosts of Rambling Through Everyday Life with Fran and Angela. We are so glad you're listening. We are starting a new series. Listen, y'all, it doesn't even have a name. We're not that fancy around here, but we are going to spend several weeks talking about authenticity, even just looking at our own lives. Maybe we are going to talk about authenticity in regards to relationships, maybe within structures and organizations that just need to be examined. I mean, I think authenticity is one of those words that we love to throw around, but when it comes down to it and the nitty-gritty, rubber meets the road, it can be really hard and intimidating. But we're going to kick it off this week with our dear friend, y'all. She's been on the show before. You know her. Her name's Rachel Mitchell. She's going to help us think through mentally and physically how to be authentic and true to ourselves in the day-to-day. You're going to love her. If you don't know her, you're going to love her after this week's episode. Okay, I don't know. What else? I don't know. Pull up a not a comfy chair. How about getting your comfy chair with your favorite beverage, or maybe head out on a long walk. Y'all know how I feel about that. It's the absolute best, one of the best therapies in all the world. Or maybe you're in the car, or maybe you're on the treadmill. I don't know. Whatever it is you're doing, we are so glad that you are listening. Enjoy the show and have a super great day. We hope nothing more than to bring you kind, gracious words to your ears week after week, just as Proverbs 16:24 says. Okay, we love you guys. Bye-bye. Hey, Angela, how are you?
Hey, Fran.
How's it going? Tell me what's happening in your life. We need to know all the things.
Oh, my goodness. Well, something monumental happened last night.
Dun, dun, dun.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
I built something.
Listen, stop right there.
With tools.
What?
Yes.
Angela, tell me about these tools. What did you build? What's happening?
Well, I can't sound smart telling you about the tools because I called them things like the dinosaur thing and the wheel looking thing.
The stupid thing.
That it was one of those, like the box came with its own set of tools that didn't look like anything I'd ever seen before.
Oh, no, ma'am.
So I just gave them fun names to make it a little bit better.
Yeah? What are you building?
I built a stair climbing dolly.
I think I know what that is, but the fact that you purchased it and put it together puts you on a whole nother level of all of life.
Well, let me just tell you, if you have anything that's heavy that needs to go up the stairs,
yeah,
I'm your girl.
Yeah. Because why are you doing this? Hello?
Well, we're moving a kid to college in a few days, so I was not patient enough to wait on her father to come home. He could have done it in 5 minutes or less. And then when he did get home, he was like, oh, no, yeah, I'm just going to let you finish what you started. You're doing just fine. And I was on like number 1 of a 12-step process at that point. And I was like a little kid when they're like, nope, sit at the table, eat your vegetables. I was getting very frustrated. But at the end of it, I was so happy that I stuck with it. I feel very accomplished and proud of myself.
I am so proud of you. There is no way. Well, there is always a way. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm never doing that. I don't have the patience for it. I need picture descriptions. I'm not going to follow 4 pages of paragraph instructions. I'm so proud of you.
Well, I was able to use my brain in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
I'm not inclined to any kind of manual labor on any level. So now stay tuned. Let's see if this thing works or falls apart. We haven't tested it yet. Carl may be at home redoing everything that I think I did correctly.
Please, if you think about it, we want a picture of this thing to put in Instagram stories because this is impressive. I need to see.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. This is so fun and exciting.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, today's a big day for Fran and Chip Thomas.
It is. It's our anniversary, and it's 27 years. Here's the funny thing. I literally had to pull out my phone calculator this morning and say 2021 minus 1994 equals what?
Oh,
because we have hit that point. I knew that my oldest child just turned 25, and I thought, I don't think it's 26. That would be like so close. So it has to be 27. Like, I can't keep up. But that's not a bad thing. It's just that's what happens with so many years. And I don't know. I think it's crazy that I know that 27 years isn't a long time, but it is a long time. We have grown up together. We are completely different people. And I know people are. If you been married that long, you're not the same person that you were when you got married. But we have truly grown up together in so many ways, and it's just fun. It's just fun. So
I'm going to ask Fran one of Fran's questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing about being married to Chip right now?
Oh, listen, he is so grounded and level-headed and solid, and he's not dramatic. He doesn't get worked up about things. He lives in a much, he just lives on a different level than I live. Anybody that knows me knows that I just live up in this high energy space with a lot of things going on all the time. And so he's just very even-keeled. He's very level-headed. He's just patient and calm. And so he brings that out in me. So last night when we were having a conversation where I was tired, but I was getting worked up about something, he just stayed so level-headed. He's so different than a lot of our girlfriends who, we start having these conversations and telling all these things, and they're just like, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. And, they just add fuel to the fire. Well, he doesn't, and he just keeps us grounded, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful because, believe it or not, we are in a season, even though our kids are so much older, 25, 23, and 20, we still have a lot going on. You never not parent. And so we were just having these intense conversations about this season of life that we were in that would have made you think I was dealing with a 16-year-old. But anyway, he just is so calm and steady. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful. I could not handle being married to somebody like me. It'd be horrible.
Well, y'all are one of my very favorite couples for all of those reasons.
He's precious.
Y'all
God bless him.
Y'all are just perfect together.
We
I
are.
love it.
We are good together. Very
are.
much so. Yeah.
You are. Well, speaking of so much fun and perfect together and one of our favorite people and all the good things you just said, we have a returning guest today.
I mean, that's a compliment when you want to bring people back because you just don't get enough out of them. One episode, 2 episodes. I think we probably said this before. We just need to start a series with her like once a year, every 4 months, every other week.
Yeah.
Here she comes.
That would be great. Hey, I'm open to that, 100%. Rachel Mitchell is with us today. Rachel was on episode 16, season 1, and that one was called We Can Do Hard Things, and it was so good. Rachel is somebody that, Fran, we have both been coached by, still are. She is our favorite fitness coach, spiritual coach, cheerleader, encourager, motivator, all the things. I don't even know what else to say other than welcome, Rachel Mitchell.
Just leave now.
No. Hey, listen, Rachel, you'd be so proud of me. I should have taken a picture. I drank my Shakeology on the way here.
Me too.
And I don't know if I know that there's going to be a lot of people, and this is not the point of this podcast, but if they have any questions about anything regarding Shakeology or any of the anythings,
Yeah.
I do want you to briefly talk about it, just because I'm a huge fan and supporter of it, and I always feel so good when I drink my drink.
What is in that drink? It's like magic.
Plant-based?
Yeah, it is plant-based, but it's really and truly just a lot of vitamins and like nutrients that we probably don't get from our daily intake. I mean, you can eat all the vegetables in the world and you're still not going to get as much as you probably need. I tried to go out without it for a month this summer because I did the whole 30. Well, did the whole 30. You can't see my air quotes. I did it pretty well, but I just didn't feel good, and it's just the vitamins. It's definitely
Well, and I think that I'm a person that I'm not a big eater.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big drinker. I don't take super great care of myself when it comes to nutrition. I just don't, it's not something that I put a lot of time and effort and energy into it. But so when I do drink it every single day, I'm like, yay me. I know my insides are so thankful.
Yeah, it's just one good choice, easy choice.
Yeah, easy choice. Okay.
Yeah.
There's the little side. Side plug. Angela, tell everybody the words I combined this morning real quick. Because I said I was about to do it again.
Louis Giglio turned into
Louio.
Louio. Oh, you should tell him that.
Louio. I combine words all the time, and I just did it. I was going to say side plug, and it was becoming slide pug is what I was about to say.
We have too many words for the amount of time that
My
we're given. We have to
brain.
combine
Not
them.
enough brain.
Good
Maybe
night,
that's our
alive.
problem.
Okay, let's get back on track.
Yes. So, okay, the month of September, we are, we always want to provide a resource for listeners. We are going to be really focusing out of Lisa Whittle's new book, The Hard Good. Life is hard. There's a lot of bittersweet, but we can't miss the good. Mm-hmm. And I love having you here today to talk about some of those things because we told a little bit about our background the last time you were here, but I sent you the most pitiful, pathetic email because I had seen you on Instagram, your fitness account. You combined your faith with your fitness, and I was just in a pitiful place. And I sent you a pitiful message.
That's okay. We all are there
Yeah.
multiple times a day.
And now we're all collectively, I think all the conversations I'm hearing are people wanting to be healthy, wanting to build up immunity, wanting to take better care of ourselves. And I love that you approach that with the physical and the spiritual and the emotional, just overall. So I really am excited to have that conversation with you today.
Me too. God is going to do some big things.
I think so. Well, I want to start out. We have talked a little bit ahead of time about where the Lord has you with women and just in a place of being authentic and taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Which Fran and I so appreciate. We are over all these fake little surface conversations that happen. We want real, authentic, like let's just get down to it.
Yeah.
So where do we begin? Where do you want to start with that?
Well, I mean, even I didn't think about this before, but as you were talking about that first pitiful message, as you call
was
it,
pitiful.
you know, I feel like that was what, 5 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
5 years ago. I feel like God has taught me even more since then about how to lead women through that, where normally I would be like, okay, let's fix it. You're help me. I'm pitiful. But instead, like, I think that realizing when we get to a point where we're like, I need to change something, that is a humongous win. Like that is a humongous good from the hard, you know, like, because I just spent all those years like wallowing in I binge eat, I have bad cholesterol, my hormones are whack, like let's just live with it, you know, which is a really sad place to be. But like whenever I finally said, no, let's do something, my life is like going the wrong direction. That's the first good, you know, from a hard situation. And so like whoever is listening to this, your listeners, like know that, you know, you can put one foot in front of the other and you can walk away from where you're at right now. It just takes one step.
And just knowing that you're not always, it's not a straight up vertical line. There's going to be highs and lows. Yeah. And I love when you post about your struggles. Because even when you're on the right path and you have the discipline and you're doing it every day because I watched you do it, there are still struggles within that.
Well, I think the more that we seek to do the things we know we're supposed to do, the harder Satan makes it. You know, like you asked me that question before this, and I'm just like so fired up and so like almost angry that Satan has such a hold on so many of our brains. And it's in our brain. You know, like he plants the lies. You're not good enough. You can't do this. There's no way. She does it better. And he has got a stranglehold on Christian women, and we just have to, like, life's gonna be hard. I mean, it's gonna be an uphill battle anytime we try to do something good, because he knows that. And so, yeah, I'm excited to talk about that.
And how does community play into that when we're fighting these lies?
Oh, gosh. Like, I'm nothing on my own. I mean, I'm saved by the blood of Christ. I'm going to heaven. I'm going to be with him. But, that's not the end all. I feel like he has just surrounded me and prepared me for this part of my life. Like you say, you came into my inbox poor and pitiful, but God has done more through you to disciple me and just encourage me, and I think that, we can't do it alone. We're not supposed to do it alone.
Oh, yeah. That's so true. What about, okay, pick one of the lies. You said, just pick any one of the lies you threw out there and let's talk about it. What is it? Why do we believe it? How do we fight it?
One of the things that I see a lot of women, and I coach women in health and fitness, I coach women in business too. And so one of the things that I see women just fall victim to is she does it better. You know, like even in the groups that I run, you know, like I know some people come in and they see all these women posting their workouts and eating their healthy food and logging in, and maybe they're in a place where they're not doing that right now, and it's just a comparison trap. You know, same thing in business, same thing in probably what you guys do too in your professions. She does it better, so why should I even try? Like, why should I even try?
Wow.
And I hate that lie. I hate it. And I've lived there for a long time. But, yeah, I mean, God, Ephesians 2:10 is what always pops into my head. You know, you were created for good works. They were prepared in advance, you know. So live where you are and do what he's called you to do.
Well, and I tell you what's so important is listening to you when we're talking about our business or whatever it is we're doing in this life, whatever God has called us to. You are a coach that is pushing people spiritually and physically. And it's that to me is the key. And so let's just take a step back and remember, if I catch myself feeling inadequate, less than, weary, whatever it is I'm feeling that's negative, that's not true to who God says I am and what he can do through me, then at least we have some awareness as believers or people alongside us to remind us, hold up a minute, you're a broken human being. There are going to be doubts. There's limitations. There's brokenness. It's just humanity. So praise God for people that can come alongside us and remind us, just like you said, Scripture says this about you. And then you just kind of get jarred a little bit and you're like, oh, yeah. I need to remember that.
Well, even, you know, we were talking the other day and I was expressing some concerns about, like, I don't want this to be about me. I don't want to become prideful, all these things. And you're like, Rachel, you're overthinking it. Like, you're totally overthinking it. And I was like,
it's funny when I say that to anybody else because Fran always says that to me.
The queen of overthinking telling another one, don't overthink.
Look, I bet she found joy in telling me that too.
Oh, I did. I was like, ooh, I see
I
it.
get to use it.
Issue spotting. Yep, you've got that issue.
I love it. But I needed to hear that at that moment.
Yeah.
And again, that was me. I mean, doubt or comparison is rooted in fear.
Oh,
it's rooted in fear. And God didn't give us a spirit of fear. Right?
So good.
Yeah.
That's so good. What about, let's talk about some other lies.
Okay.
What about people that think they have to change their beliefs based on the time that we're in?
Man, I am reading. Okay, so I'm going to throw this out there. My boot camp girls and I are reading Lisa Bevere's latest devotional,
She's
Strong.
So good. She's so good.
Okay, it's called Strong, so I highly recommend it. Obviously, always be in the Word first. Please be in the Word first. But devotions are good things. And she said something, and Henry and Milo were learning the verse, your word lasts forever. It stands firm in the heavens, Psalm 119:89. And then I read this devotion about how basically with each decade, Christians have adapted what they believe to the culture. Instead of, you know, your word stands firm. It does not change. What he said was sin back then is sin today. And so I have just been very passionate about that. And I get a lot of it, honestly, is rooted in raising children, too, because I see the world that they're growing up in.
Yeah.
I see well, I can't see it. I don't know what they'll face. I have no idea. But if they're not grounded in the Word, and God has just brought to my own eyes how I have fudged on what I believe a little bit, because society says you can't think that way, you can't look at somebody that way, or you can't believe that way, it's wrong. And I'm just really, really passionate about making sure women are in the Word. You know, like I mentioned that devotion, it's so good. And I do believe she's obviously pulling directly from God's Word, but we have to we have to be in the Word, and we have to be comparing like what the world says to what God says, not the latest political leader or even.
Well, and it's, in this world that we're living in right now, I think part of my weariness that we talked about before we hit record was, it is just honestly, I'm 51 years old. I've never seen a time like we're in right now, and everybody's minds are weary. And even to fight for the good that is just simple, that we know. Like I said to you this morning, I did not open up the scriptures today. I couldn't do it. My brain did not have it in me. Yes, I could have read the words. Yes, I've just already determined before I opened up the word that God couldn't do anything with it. I know that. I recognize that. But we are just living in a time where everybody is exhausted, overwhelmed, afraid, sad.
Yeah.
Just for a lot of things. And so, sometimes it's just, whoo, mercy, Lord. We really do need to get back to some basic concepts when it comes to taking care of ourselves spiritually and physically.
And you say that because I had this kind of revelation this last week. By the time you listen to this, we're going through Afghanistan, the everything. I could make a whole list. But if you go back into the Old Testament, we haven't lived through this, but other people have.
Yeah.
And God showed them the way, that's what the Old Testament, people like Jeremiah, just all the prophets, they lived through this.
He's faithful.
Death and destruction. And
He's faithful. He
Yeah.
is not afraid. He's not concerned.
There is nothing new under the sun.
No, there's
No.
not. There's really not. And you have to kind of step back outside of like our own mind and our own reactions to what's going on. But it's not new to God. It's not new to humanity.
Well, and talk a little bit about the mental. We've talked about spiritual and physical, but because of so much going on in the world, our brains are not designed to absorb all this and sit in it all day, every day. Talk a little bit about the importance of, moving our bodies. Fran loves going for a walk. She's passed that good habit on to me by example, and you have too, of course. So just talk to us about what it does mentally for us to move our bodies and take a break from what's going on.
Yeah, well, I think obviously I'm not a medical person, but I do know that moving, releases endorphins, serotonin, and those things make us happier. And, you asked me about my husband being sick and how, I said he laid in bed for 3 days. And by the end of those 3 days, he was depressed. I was like, babe, you got to get out of bed. He was like, I can't. And so, there is, God designed us, our brains, to work well when we move. And so that's the best tip I can give. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling defeated, if you're feeling just hopeless, like move, just go for a walk. Sunshine, vitamin D, that lifts our spirits too. So yeah.
It's amazing
movement's
for me
important.
when I'm exhausted, when I'm worn out at the end of the day. I will go for a walk or go for a run on the treadmill, and it's amazing how my mind, we know this to be true,
Yeah.
but just 20 minutes, how you end that 20 minutes, your brain is opened back up again. There's space in there again.
Yeah.
And you just feel more alive. You don't feel so defeated and down and dead.
Do you, when you walk, do you have like your best ideas?
Oh,
ever?
I'm the most creative.
Isn't that cool?
And even in that activity where you just think you're just going to kind of numb out and not think about things or whatever, but because your brain is opened up and there's just, for whatever reason, all this space is there, that's when I hear from him the most. That's when just fresh ideas and energy comes from it.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. We know this, but how easy it is when you are living in the time that we're living in, you would just rather not.
Yeah.
It is a real fight to get up and just move for 20 minutes.
It definitely is. And I was going to say, well, I love to talk about habits. I can talk about that if you want me to. But on Sunday mornings, I have this thing where I go for a run and I go unplugged. I don't take my phone. It's intentional because I do try to detox from technology on Sundays, but at the same time, I'm running and my brain is just filling with all these ideas. And I'm like, oh, I wish I had my phone to take notes. But I say that to say it's just evidence that God created us to do that and thrive there. So, yeah, just make it a habit. That's the biggest thing.
What advice do you have for somebody listening who wants this in theory, but they feel tired, they don't know where to begin? How do we just get started?
Or it's just too hot
It's just too
outside.
hot. Like,
Oh, I know.
how do we get started? What do we do?
Quite honestly, you want Coach Rachel? Just do
Yes.
it hard. It's hard. You have to overcome the I can't do this, I'm tired, the brain fog, like the hitting the snooze. You just have to get through the hard, and then it becomes a habit. And the habit takes over on those days where you do feel blue. You do feel just, I can't do it. Your just body knows to get up and do it because you've trained it that way. But it's hard to get through that transition period. But you can do it. You can do it.
And I've heard you tell me, I don't know how many times, just do it for 5 or 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And without fail, if I will just start, then I get into it. I'm like, okay, this isn't terrible.
Yep, exactly. You just condition your brain to take that action, and it's very powerful. I mean, God made us that way. He made us like to it can work the opposite way. You can work on autopilot, hit snooze, hit snooze, hit snooze, and it's just everything we do is out of habit. It's just we create good habits and we create bad habits.
I was listening to something the other day where I wish that I could reference the book, but it was some book talking about how change, how hard change is for us. Like our body literally fights against it. Even the simple adjustment. I'm just going to pick something so super stupid, but let's just say, if I'm thinking about my nutrition, and I said I'm not like a super great eater, I'm not a bad eater, I'm just not a big eater.
Yeah.
And so let's say that for lunch, I'm going to decide I'm going to eat a salad. I'm going to build some good things through a salad into my body. That sounds like that's not hard, but it's an adjustment. It's a change. And so my brain and my body is going to fight so hard against it that you think, well, golly, it shouldn't be that hard. And so I think what is important, and you kind of touched on this at the beginning, is identify, just name something you need to make an adjustment in, whether it's your nutrition. I need to get up and move. Just be able to name one thing and not like look at the whole thing, because if I were to look at all of it, I'm going to quit. It just gets overwhelming. So let's just name a thing.
Yeah.
And recognize this is going to be hard. It doesn't sound hard. It might even sound stupid to say to somebody in accountability, hey, will you ask me if I ate a salad today, or if I drank my water, which I still cannot drink enough water. Y'all, I have all the alarms on my phone. I still can't drink enough water. I'm just terrible. It's a weakness for me. But we don't need to be afraid of naming the one thing. Name a thing.
Yeah.
Just food, exercise, time in the Word, whatever.
Yeah.
Name it, and then just move towards that thing slowly, right?
Well, I love to tell my girls who are overwhelmed. I have clients who need to lose 100 pounds. That's overwhelming. I mean, how do you look at that and be like, oh my goodness, where do I even start? And even people who don't need to lose 100 pounds, but just want to feel better and create better habits. I always tell them, just do the next right thing. Like maybe that's you're driving down the road and you want to turn right to Wendy's instead of going home to that salad that you made. Do the next right thing. I mean, I think that's a lot of our problem, is that we don't think about the choices that we make. We've just done this forever, and I can't break that habit. When really we can. You just got to think about it. You gotta be intentional.
Well, and I love your positive approach to all of these things. And your groups have changed my life. I've been a part of, I don't know how many of them in the past 5 or so years. Tell our listeners just a little bit about what those groups look like? Is there a cost involved? How do they connect with you if they want to be part of a group?
I would say the best way would be to go to my Instagram. It's Rachel J. Mitchell, Rachel J. Mitchell, and just send me a message. That's the best thing. But in my groups, I am affiliated with a health and fitness company, and I love it. It's a secular company, but God has allowed me to be able to use it as a platform for him. So I'm thankful for that. But I do lead women in health and fitness, and I pair them up with workouts and nutrition plans, and I coach them. And so I have this current group. We're all doing the same workout program. And today we were talking about food because they all set goals at the beginning of the week, and I did too. I've struggled too. And today I was just like, how's it going? And, some were like, oh, I fell off the wagon like day so-and-so, but I'm going to get back on it next week. And that's great. Like, I love that people are so determined. But I ask the hard questions. I'm like, well, why did you fall off? I think we just get in this habit of like, I fall off every week, but I'm going to do it again on Monday. That is no way to live. And I don't want anybody to live that way. And so I love to ask the hard questions. Okay, this is good. You know what went wrong, but why? Why did it go wrong? And when we can identify that, we can ask God to help us with that. I got overwhelmed. I got discouraged. Got in a fight with my husband, and not to sound super religious or cliche, but why do we turn to food or drink instead of Jesus? And I'm guilty too. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so guilty. I still struggle. So I love to help women stop that vicious cycle of self-defeat, because it is defeating and it is weary.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, it is. And so, like, even with you, as you were talking about the water, just hearing you say I'm terrible, you're not terrible. Maybe your body doesn't need as much water as mine. I mean, I know, yes, you need to drink your water, but like my body requires way more water than what I recommend women to drink. I am thirsty, not diabetic or anything like that, but I just require a lot of water. And you may not require as much.
Apparently I don't, but I know I need to do better. It's not that hard for crying out loud. If I showed you my alarms, they're just like every 2 hours. And I'm like, turn it off.
Snooze.
I don't have time to go fill that water bottle up, But
I have
anyway.
a challenger who has an alarm that says, Rachel said, get up and work out.
Rachel said, get out of bed.
Okay, get out of bed. Okay, let's ask you the hard questions.
Okay.
As we wrap up, because all of this is not just things that you give out as a prescription to other people. You are living this yourself as well. And Angela and I love good questions. It's just important to us to think deeper, to ask people really what's going on instead of just, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Tell me how you are. That's just not enough. We're good at that, but that's not enough of a question. And so as we talk about, and this podcast is centered around our faith in Jesus. I mean, he really is. He is the foundation of all of this, all of our lives, all 3 of us sitting right here.
Yeah.
He really is. How are you growing in the Lord? What is a challenge for you? Because growing is not like doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Just what is your relationship with him like right now, and what do you want to do differently over this next several months or this season?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So for the last 3 years, I've read through the Bible. I came to Christ at 24. I'll be 41 in a couple of months. I'd never read through the Bible. So I've done that a few times now, and I just, it never gets old. It's not that I'm saying that it gets old, but in our Sunday school class, it's really cool because I've been in church my whole life, been in Sunday school my whole life, quite honestly. But just this last year, our Sunday school class has started just opening the Word and reading through books, and discussing it. And I feel like God brought me to that place from reading it on my own for those years, but then to discuss it with other people that really build me up. Because, again, I'm always saying get in the Word, but if you're in the Word all alone and not applying it or not discussing it, that was not God's plan. And I feel like he's brought me to that place to grow even further through discussion. And that sometimes can be awkward and scary, and
Yeah, you gotta be
depending on who you're
vulnerable.
talking with, you
Yeah.
know, do you trust that person? But it's definitely challenged me and made me think about things, and even how, like, am I just reading to read to check a box? Some days, yeah. You know, some days I don't want to be there, but some days, yes. But like, how does this apply to me, and what does it tell me about God, and how does it point to Jesus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so important. I love that. Listen, when I am in the Bible reading plan, and Angela's heard me say this so many times, that when I just get stuck in the Old Testament and I'm like, I'm going to skip on over to Ephesians and read that for a little while, because this over here in 2 Kings is not doing it for me.
Jesus is coming. We're going to be there by the end of the year.
It's coming.
He's
It's
coming.
coming.
It's coming in your reading. It's
Praise
funny
God.
because I tell people one of my favorite chapters is Deuteronomy 8. And people are like, Deuteronomy, you know? But if you read that chapter from the mindset, whatever your struggle is, you know, he talks about, I brought you through this wilderness. I provided for you. When you get to the other side, give me the glory. And like, you know, I talk about my nutrition and my health struggles a lot. And that chapter, when I read it from that perspective of like, God he's brought me through this wilderness, you know, and he's provided for me. And even man does not live on bread alone is in that, you know, in that chapter. And then I often think, like, I don't want to be that girl who gets to the other side. He helps me through it, and I don't give him the glory. Like, I don't point to him. Like, that's what I feel like my whole coaching purpose is, to say, God did it. God did it. You know, he's like, yeah, I'm still a work in progress, but he saved me from myself, you know?
So good.
Who's going to help you accomplish this growth? Because by ourselves, we said earlier, by ourselves,
Yeah.
we're no good.
Yeah.
Community and accountability is important.
I have a group, a couple of like little messenger pods of friends, and this was actually one of my podcasts about how to find and have Christian relationships that build you up. Don't like coddle you and make you feel good about yourself, but actually build you up. So I have some very dear friends. Like, I mean, I know I can always, y'all are on speed dial if I had questions, but I think it's those daily prompts, like from people who will call you out on your mess, you know, like, Rachel, that doesn't really line up with what God's saying. You're kind of having a pity party, you know, or things like that. My husband is a fantastic sounding board, you know, and then I even, you know, I knew this question was coming, but just from where I'm at in parenting right now, homeschooling the boys, they're 10 and 12, almost 11 and 12. And even the discussions I have with Henry and Milo challenge me. Like, they ask a question and I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. Let's find that together. So, and you could probably speak to that more than I could, but just like helping them grow in their faith is growing mine.
That's
And
beautiful.
Very cool.
That's the best part right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the best part.
They ask the best questions.
That's so fun.
You mentioned your podcast.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
It is our new favorite podcast, friend.
Must listen.
Yeah, I started a podcast last month, and it's called Living on Mission, because I just really, like, our mission is to know Christ and to make him known. And as a wife, as a mom, as a friend, as a business owner, like, how can I do that and encourage other women in that every day? Yeah.
You're such an encourager.
Well,
I know. We're so thankful for you, and just the practical, simple ways to take care of ourselves, to take care of the whole self that the Lord has given us, and in ourselves and in one another. Thank you for always being a blessing to us.
thank you. Y'all lift me up a lot. So,
We love you.
yeah, I love you.
Thanks for being with us today, Angela. It's been fun, sister, as
That was
always.
great. I feel motivated.
I know. Let's go for a run or something. I'm going to eat a salad, go for a run in the rain. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. We sure do love you. Have a great day.